Thank you so much, Dr. Kulshrestha. It's One Place Sports' honor to be broadcasting this international webinar all across the world.
Working out, training hard, of course is required, but it's not enough. Relaxation is absolutely essential.
Our experience and expertise to help set up Olympic studies centers based at the university level in India.
Miss Shalini Vij, who's the founder and director of Sculpting Mentors LLP. She's a skill and performance enhancement trainer and mind coach here in India. And Mrs. Shalini Vij will give you more of an idea about what the topic is that will be discussed, as well as more information about the speaker that we have lined up, who will be gracing us for the session on a One Place Sports Networks. Mrs. Shalini Vij, all yours.
Thank you so much, Anubhav. Thanks a lot. So I would just like to share my screen to start a very, very brief presentation to welcome the speaker and also to welcome our guest over here as well. And a very, very good evening to all the participants and viewers, and a warm greetings to everyone. And especially the representatives from National Sports Federation, National Olympic Committee, which includes Indian Olympic Association, athletes, coaches, researchers, government officials, diplomats, administrators, corporate media, non-government organization, and all the public, all the viewers in large. So I would like to thank the organizers for organizing this international webinar on Olympism and Olympic education in 21st century. So it is really a great platform, and I feel privileged to be hosting this particular session. So very quickly, let me introduce the speakers for today's session. Her name is Ms. Sveta Balstya, and she's basically the Director of Olympic Education. So Ms. Sveta has been responsible for Olympic education at the National Olympic Committee of Lithuania for the past 8 years. She oversees educational programs and projects that disseminate Olympic values, build communities, promote physical activity, and encourage youth leadership through sport. Also, to add on, she received a master's degree in Olympic Studies, Olympic Education, Organization and Management of Olympic Events at the University of Philippines, and the bachelor degrees in economics. She also graduated from the Executive Masters of Sport Organizations Management and was awarded with the Alberto Medela Trophy for her project, which is called A Framework for a Sustainable Olympic Education Program. Now, to end my note with other accolades of her, she is the member of the Lithuanian NOC Olympic Education Commission, council member at Lithuanian Olympic Academy, also the Secretary General of Lithuanian Fair Play Committee, NOC's Culture and Education Champions Network. So in the end, I would like to add that Olympic Education Department at the Lithuanian National Olympic Committee organizes a number of programs and projects on the promotion of physical activity, values education through sport, and youth leadership through sport. So I want to thank you all in advance, all the viewers, all the listeners in advance, for taking an initiative, for your active participation by having an enriching and enlightening experience with us. So let me give a warm welcome to our speaker, Ms. Sveta Balstya. A very, very good evening to you, ma'am, and all to you. Thank you so much.
Good evening. Thank you so much for this amazing introduction. And thank you for inviting me to speak here today. It's a great honor to speak at this international webinar, and I really congratulate the Indian Olympic Association and Indian Olympic Education Committee for organizing this event. I'm very excited to send my best greetings from the small Lithuanian country to big India in the terms probably of inhabitants and the size of the countries. and I'm very excited to share my thoughts and ideas today.
Thank you.
I will try and share my screen. I saw that some of the other people had some issues with that, so I will just take my time to share my my screen. In the meantime, I will just like to talk a little bit about my presentation today and what will it look like. So at the very beginning, as you have seen that we have done quite a lot of activities. So Lithuania National Olympic Committee has been working on Olympic education for quite a lot of years. As you have seen in the kind introduction, I have been doing this for the 8 years, and it has been a very important topic for me. So I believe that every National Olympic Committee, every National Olympic Academy, and any kind of similar Olympic organization should be working with the Olympic values education, because it's important not only for us as organizations. It's not only the mission of the National Olympic Committees, but it is also sport is an amazing tool, and education and the values and teaching values education. It's not an easy thing. Okay, I think I will continue without the presentation because I just cannot open it up. So therefore, I will be talking without the slides, but I will obviously present my ideas, and I'm very encouraging other viewers to give me some questions and to share their ideas. So talking about the National Olympic Committee, it was reestablished in 1988, so it's only a bit more than 30 years that the National Olympic Committee is present in Lithuania. And in the recent years, we have worked a lot on Olympic education. We believe that our mission is not only to inspire Olympians in sports, but also to inspire Olympians in life. And this is a very important thing, and I really want to stress that out. We believe that Olympism and Olympic movement, it is for every person. It's not only for an athlete, it's not only for a physically active person. It can send a message to every person. So why is it important why is Olympic education important for the Lithuanian National Olympic Committee? It is a strategic area of our NOC, and it has been stated quite clearly. What is more, we have a separate department of Olympic education that is working, and we have several people working in that department and actually dedicating all of their time to Olympic values education. And also, I think it is important to stress that Olympic education and our Olympic Committee has a strong support from the leadership. If you do not have a strong support for your leadership, it might be difficult to deliver the programs, to spread your ideas, to share your ideas. And we have this opportunity, which is usually, well, pretty amazing, I would say. So how does it work? What approach towards Olympic education do we have? So we believe that Olympic education is a tool for the society, to solve the challenges of the society. And I saw some presentations before, and I saw how these presentations work very well. And they also mentioned the same things. It also the mission of the National Olympic Committee, and it also is stated in the Olympic Charter that every National Olympic Committee has to promote Olympic education. And we believe that our mission is to show people, to show our society what sport is, what Olympism is, that it is physical activity, but it's so much more. Education through sport, promoting sport as a tool for development and dissemination of Olympic values and principles, and also dissemination of Olympism, to get the society understand what actually Olympic movement is and what is it about. It's not, we all love and enjoy the Olympic Games every 4 years or every 2 years, but Olympic movement actually is alive for the whole quadrennial. So it never stops, and it does amazing things, and I think that we have to really talk about that. When we talk about the Olympic education, quite oftenly I like to use the quote of the founding father of the Olympic movement, Pierre de Coubertin, who said that the future of our civilization does not rest on political or economic foundations, but it wholly depends on the direction given to education. So that it is very important for every National Olympic Committee to understand and to see what kind of direction they want to give and what kind of added value they want to give to their communities. What values do they want to promote and send? And then we can talk about the Olympic values. So there's 3 values: excellence, friendship, and respect. And all these 3 values, these are universal values. So it has actually, these are applicable and these are important values to every person around the world. I think this is this is the beauty of the Olympic movement, that it can really unite in different terms, in different situations. It can unite all of the people in the world. So when we talk about the Olympic values, excellence, which means doing your best, being in the field, considering the field of play or considering your professional life. That understanding that important thing is not winning, but taking part and making progress and enjoying the process, and understanding that that combination of body, will, and mind that the Olympic movement sends, this message that the Olympic movement sends. And then respect. When we think about respect, obviously we talk about the respect for yourself, for your body, for people around you, for the environment. And we have so many concerns nowadays with climate change, with COVID-19 and other things that are happening around the world, that it is a crucial value for every person. And then we talk about friendship, which is at the heart of the Olympic movement, which it encourages us to see sport as an instrument for a mutual understanding between individuals and between the people around the world. So these are the messages that we send through sport, because we believe that sport is that tool that unites people, that unites more than anything else in this world. And actually, I was very happy to see that this webinar was called, and it is circles around the 21st century education, because now everybody talks about 21st century competencies, such as creativity, problem solving, critical thinking, collaboration or civic literacy, communication, and becoming a self-directed learner. So there's a lot of different sets of competencies that we think that children and youth that they have to have, that we are required to have them for our working environment, for our personal contacts with people. How do you get them? How do you get those competencies? This is the big question. And yesterday I was watching the panel about this webinar, and then I was reading some articles also online, and everybody says that today this is the time when we are facing such challenges as a pandemic. We have to think about education in a different way, because we have those skills, the traditional skills that we get through the educational system, but there's just so many requirements that kids have to have, or the knowledge that they have to have. We sometimes forget about those 21st century competencies, and when we do trainings for educators, we always ask them, do you think that you teach those things? Do you think that in your traditional classroom settings, does this really happen? Most of the times the answer is, well, not all of the time. So in these days when children really have to be resilient, they have to understand some difficult things, like that they have to spend 3 months at home without any probably possibility to have a lot of physical activity or interact with their friends. They have to have a lot of different skills. And how do we get them? How do they get them? A year ago, every year, the National Olympic Committee of Lithuania, we organize this Olympic Education Forum where we gather about 500 educators from all over the world, not all over the world, but all over Lithuania. And we talk on different topics that are important for Olympic education. And last year, our topic was on 21st century competencies and education in the 21st century. So one of the speakers, he said a very interesting idea that I kept with me for quite some time. He said that, you know, all of these competencies that we require people to have, we think that probably there's like a small percentage of people that naturally have some competencies. Like we all know some people that are naturally amazing at communication, or they're great at critical thinking. Maybe they learn that in different environments, but the majority of people, we really have to learn those. So is it through the kindergarten, through the school years, university? We actually really have to learn them. So how do you do that? And my answer for that is physical activity and sport. This is the tool that really, when we look into all of those competencies, you can actually handpick in which different situations in the sporting field, during a tournament, during a competition, or during a training session, where that kid or a young person can learn things. And again, my answer is sport. So how do we teach them? Because sport, in general, it gives us physical activity, it gives us health, it keeps us active. We have this good feeling after we do sport. But how do we learn those skills and competencies, and how do we learn the values that I was mentioning before? This depends on the educator. And for probably the second part of my presentation, I will talk more about the educator and the role of the educator, because he or she is that person who works with the kids, whether it's a teacher, whether it's a coach. The grown-up actually helps the child to understand the situations, to reflect upon them, to learn things. And sport gives us the environment. That's why at the National Olympic Committee of Lithuania, we took this opportunity that the International Olympic Committee actually gives to all of the National Olympic Committees and other organizations. In 2016, they developed the Olympic Values Education Program. And we took the manuals, we took the program, and we decided that we want to bring it to Lithuania and we want to implement it. We want to work with educators on the program and help them deliver the program to the youth. And this is where the work with the OVEP started. And OVEP is that tool that says that learning is an active and not passive activity. That it's not that learning can come through different forms, whether it's speaking or listening, whether that's play and discussion and debate. And the Olympic Values Education Program offers some activities that are based on that. And I talked before about the Olympic core Olympic values, and the Olympic Values Education Program. It gives us the manuals that we can work with, but it also gives us the educational themes, which are the joy of effort, fair play, practicing respect, pursuit of excellence, and balance between body, will, and mind. So different activities that are on the Olympic Values Education Program, on the manuals, are designed to help develop those values, to teach those values. And we always, and what also, of course, the Olympic Values Education Program says is that for every activity that you choose, you can take the educational theme, but also you have to add some physical activity, because kids have to be physically active. When we think that the World Health Organization has that recommendation that every child has to be active for at least 60 minutes per day, and then we think about our educational systems, probably there is a discrepancy, because the kids might not have the opportunities to be physically active for 60 minutes a day. Therefore, for the Olympic Values Education Program, we encourage not only physical education teachers, but also other subject teachers to use the Olympic Values Education Program and to make that learning more active. And we all know the scientists, the researchers have identified that physical activity helps learning. It helps us to learn things better. It helps us to understand the concepts better. So therefore, we say that the Olympic Values Education Program is a program for every teacher. And then they can educate that in different ways. So through our different trainings, we offer teachers opportunities to learn on how to train things, how to disseminate the Olympic values. So we encourage them to choose a topic while in the classroom, to show that some activities in the non-formal education practice, to use Olympic Values Education Program when they feel like in the classroom they have some issue or a challenge, to approach a difficult question, or to discuss an issue within the society. For instance, nowadays that could be climate change, or to work with marginalized youth. So again, I just want to stress that the Olympic Values Education Program, it's really, it starts from physical education teachers, because there are some people who are, or educators who are not very familiar with physical activity or sport. They think, well, this is for physical education teachers. But we actually bring that to all of the teachers, and then they find ways to actually promote Olympic values and to use physical activity in their classroom settings, which is very rewarding for teachers and also for kids. So talking about the Olympic Values Education Program in Lithuania, if you have a chance or opportunity, I really encourage you to download the manuals from the International Olympic Committee website, and just to go through them and see what opportunities the manuals offer. So at our NOC, we decided that we had to translate the manuals into Lithuanian language so that it could be, every educator could actually use them. And then we thought that, well, we should have some introductory courses, because the manuals, they're created for all over the world. And so we decided to train 20 educators who could go around the country and deliver the introductory of a course, and give the manuals to educators so that they could work with them in the future. And we were discussing who could do that, who could deliver those programs, because you have to have experts, or you have to have people that educators will listen to, or they will try and work with them. And then we decided, and we gathered this group of 20 teachers of different subjects from the whole country, whom we trained, and then they delivered the Olympic Values Education Program introductory trainings to the wider amount of educators. So our trainers in the Train the Trainers program, they had 56 hours of competence development training, and then 16 hours of facilitated practice, where they practiced their activities. And then they went around the country and delivered, in the past 1.5 years, delivered about 26 trainings for around 700 educators. If you want to compare numbers, Lithuania has around 3 million inhabitants. So for us, this number is quite big. And the introductory course, it helps us to work with the educators and to help them understand what is Olympism, help them understand how they could adapt that into their curriculum and add that into their curriculum. And I would show you a video, but probably I will add later a link to the way our trainings look like and how do we do them. The very important thing is that we always say that it is important that an educator and then later a pupil would have a sport experience, that they would have some kind of experience, they would have some kind of, in a different setting, they would have an experience, and then they would have an opportunity to reflect on that. Educators still have a number of challenges. So we've delivered and developed a level 2 training on Olympic Values Education, where already educators can come, the ones who have already attended the introductory course, they can attend this 3-day course, and then they actually go deeper into a lot of topics like educational themes. They analyze the difficult cases that they had when they used the Olympic Values Education Program. They consulted each other and also worked on their reflection, because we find it very important. And this is how we kind of build the community of educators who are excited, who are inspired by the Olympic values, and they want to disseminate them. I have to mention that all of the trainings that we do at the National Olympic Committee and in Lithuania, they are for free. So educators do not have to pay for anything. We have the system that we can send the trainers to some schools in the country. So that means the financial issue is not, well, we do not have that. They do not have that financial issue. So if the people are willing to be trained and they're willing to use the Olympic Values Education Program, we deliver that to them. So after several years of experience and work and the initiatives that we have done, we gathered for twice already, actually. We gathered European Olympic committees and Olympic academies, and we had some joint trainings for a week-long trainings where we delivered our experience and where we created an opportunity, an environment for other people from around Europe to share their experiences while working with the Olympic Values Education Program, or while trying or willing to start working with the program. So that was an actually very useful experience, because we cannot stress enough the importance of cooperation in Olympic Values Education and in delivering any kind of sport for development programs. Because, the Olympic family, we can all support each other. And the experience that one country can have, or the experience that another country can have, we can actually share that, and we can support each other in delivering the programs, in doing the activities in our way, but also learning from others. And while thinking that the Olympic Values Education Program is just this great tool that could be used in any country around the world, it is important to consider how do you develop those programs? Because as I've mentioned before, the practical part that we have done, it was our experience, it was our knowledge, and we were just trying to deliver a good quality content program to our educators and then eventually to our youth. But designing it was not that easy, because we had to rely on our own experience. Not a lot of countries have done this before in their countries. So we had to learn as we went. And while talking about the development of Olympic education programs, that was actually my master's project. And because I was thinking that when we talk about sustainable programs, when we talk about the development of the Olympic education programs, we usually talk about the content that we can give, but we also have to think about the outcome, about the results that can be there. And an educational program is a variety of educational experiences, which has a main purpose to help participants to make improvements in their lives. And there's a lot of different models, and there's a lot of different ways to deliver those programs. But after careful analysis of those programs, I thought that the Logic model could be a good framework for development of the Olympic education programs, because it helps an educators or a manager or anyone who works with Olympic education to actually analyze the situation, to set the priorities, to identify what kind of resources do we have and what activities can we do and what outcomes do we expect. Because sometimes when we run educational programs, and I have seen that in my experience, sometimes we just do activities. When you do activities and you do not evaluate them, it loses the purpose. So while delivering the Olympic education programs, I just have a strong recommendation to use a system and to really know what results are you expecting and to actually evaluate all of the programs. It is important to identify some important aspects. So while planning, to identify what is the context, to do a proper analysis, to think whether that's the National Olympic Committee or the National Olympic Academy is delivering the program. What are the resources that are needed? So for the successful implementation of any Olympic education program, there are a lot of steps to be taken. And I have myself developed because I thought that well, it is important to have a set of criteria to just see how well are we doing with our Olympic education programs here in Lithuania. So we developed a set of criteria that was more than 90 criteria on how we can actually evaluate the process that we have with the programs, where are we at this point, and where could we get better in delivering the programs for educators and for youth. I just would like to say that Olympic values education is a great opportunity. It is a great opportunity for the National Olympic Committees, National Olympic Academies, also universities to be delivered for their students who will later become probably teachers or coaches. And we have to use this opportunity to educate youth, to help them develop their values, to help them stay physically active, and to encourage them to be physically active for life. And to support them in their efforts, because, well, the future, we will see what the future holds for us. But obviously, we understand that every day there's more challenges, and we have to help the younger generation to understand how they can tackle the challenges, how can they solve the issues that are there, and how they can be their best and be the Olympians in life. So thank you very much, and I really regret that I could not show you the videos and the presentation that I had ready for all of you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ms. Vita. It was incredibly a very, very enlightening session. And let me phrase you with this, that your smile and your delivery of speech has overcome the barrier of that technical glitch. So the presentation from you was definitely the awareness, which is very much important in these days. So having an awareness of Olympic value education program, it's very, very important for all of us. So definitely it is a combination of a skill set and a mindset. It's the combination of both. So synchronization is very, very important. So you have really given very, very valuable inputs today in the session. So without taking much time, I would like to call upon few eminent delegates who are waiting to have some questions from you. And there are a lot of messages coming up. So I would like to invite Dr. Avdesh Shirotria and Shri Jagjit Singh on the panel over here, so that you can have your questions on board. So yes, Dr. Avdesh, are you able to hear?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. Thank you.
Very good evening to you, and very good evening to Mr. Singh. Yes, Dr. Avdesh, you can have your question.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Ms. Shalini. And thank you, Ms. Vita, for your very wonderful and very enriching presentation. Just I want to ask you one thing. How we can impart Olympic value education program to children who are studying in a class 6th?
So the great thing about the Olympic Values Education Program and the manuals that are there is that the activities are designed for 3 different age groups. What we had done for this age, especially for 11-year-olds, not only in the sense of the Olympic Values Education Program per se, but also other activities that we had. So we have special camps for kids, especially of that age, where they have in summer day camps, where they try out different sports and different activities, because this is the time where they can actually start trying out different sports, different activities, to see if they want to choose a particular sport, or if they want to practice several sports. But also these camps combine cultural activities, arts activities, sports activities, and also values related activities. So every day, for instance, in this camp, every day is designed for one value. And then at the end of the day, kids are reflecting a lot upon the values with their educators. What I said before as well, when I was talking about the Olympic Values Education Program, reflection is the crucial part for learning. So we do that. And also we have another project that we do for the similar kids of the similar age. That is the Fair Play Challenge, because we usually find Fair Play is difficult. It's a very important value, but it's very difficult to say to a child, well, you have to play fair, or you have to be fair in every environment. What is fairness? Like we all understand this in such different ways. So we have this fair play challenge where kids and their teachers, they analyze the concepts of fair play. They do specific activities that are designed for our NOC, their schools, and then we invite them to different final events where through physical activity, through physically active workshops, they have to sometimes choose some activities. So whether maybe routes, I would say, whether that's a fair activity or not a fair activity. What is fairness in some different settings? Because talking is easy, but experiencing things and making decisions when you have to do that, this is important. So I think that all of the programs, especially in this age where around 11, where you can already have quite interesting discussions with kids, you have to definitely have some physically active workshops together with analysis and reflection on the activities and on their behavior or in their educators' behavior. This is very important, I think.
Can you please, can you allow me to ask one more question, Ms. Shalini?
Definitely. I will come back to you. Can we proceed to Mr. Singh first? So we have already two questions lined up, but I'll definitely come back to you. Don't worry.
Please go ahead.
Thank you, Shalini. Thank you, and good evening. First of all, I would like to congratulate the organizers to organize this international webinar. And I'm Jagjeet Singh from working in Kendriya Vidyalaya Sangathan, and it was a wonderful session by Dr. Vita, and in our Kendriya Vidyalayas, more emphasis is given to sports. Like we have developed a program of Swasth Bachche Swasth Bharat in physical fitness program, under which physical fitness components are to be assessed. And my question is that how can we develop the Olympic value education program in school level?
Thank you for your question. So this is what we're doing actually, because we are going through with the Olympic Values Education Program. We are going through the educational sector, and we're working with kindergartens and with high schools and also with universities actually. But first of all, that's what we say, that we think that training is very important and training for educators is crucial. So that you need your teachers to believe that this program is useful. And I had so many trainings, and I heard also our trainers tell some stories about the trainings where some teachers would come, they teach totally different subjects. That's not physical education at all. But they come in and they sit with their hands like this. They're just a bit more reserved. They don't know what they're doing there. After the first day of the train, and then the first introduction, they say, well, I think it's not for me. I'm not really sporty. I'm not physically active. I don't know what I'm doing here. Well, the school organized this for me. After the first day, the teacher's like, maybe this is for me. Maybe I could use it in my different settings. So I think that it's important to obviously to look into your educational system and how you can work with municipalities or regional governments to do that. But actually, to make this program work, you need teachers on board, and teachers have to be there with you. So for us, I think it's when we do activities, we do them so that they will be useful for teachers, so that they are different for teachers, so that they find it interesting for them. And then we build this community. And when you have a community and each person can support each other, can help each other, this is where actually, for me, some part of the true Olympism happens, is when people support each other and people want to actually integrate those things. And when you said that you have this assessment, physical fitness assessments and all of those stuff in school, of course, it is important, physical activity, and we have to, physical education teachers, they have to ensure that kids are active because they do not have that much physical activity at schools. But through different things like games, team sports, there's so many things that are happening. There's sometimes kids don't play very fairly. So every time educator can stop the activity and actually have some kind of a speech conversation or reflection on what has happened and what hasn't happened. But again, I'm coming to the same point. You have to train the teachers. This is the key.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And we have one more delegate with us, Dr. Vineet Mehta. And Dr. Vineet Mehta, very good evening to you. You can definitely share your question at this platform, please.
Good evening, Vita, and good evening all. I am Dr. Vineet. How you're looking post-COVID activities in school in relation with Olympic education? Actually, because the social distancing and all is going to be, I think, in the next 1 or 2 years, is going to be happen. So how do you think that such kind of activities can be managed and all?
This is a very, very good question. Thank you. And that's also very difficult to answer question. We are also in Lithuania, now the school year is just ending, so we are starting summer holidays for kids. So we have around 2 months to actually identify and look at the situation. Here, the situation is not that bad actually. So we are going quite well, and we believe that we will start the year in a normal way. That means that in a school setting. Obviously, social distancing is a challenge with the idea that every kid might have to have a different sports equipment or disinfect the equipment. This makes it very difficult. But I believe, in the Olympic Values Education Program, in the manuals, and also in different activities that we do, as I said at one point, that you have to learn how to learn individually, but how to learn collaboratively as well. So I think that while delivering the Olympic Values Education Program, creativity is the key for that. So finding the ways that kids can communicate, maybe not having the social distance, not having the social contact, or having a necessary distance in the activities that they do. This will be the challenge, and actually this is why we are also meeting our trainers, and we will be discussing the issues, and we will also be discussing the trainings, because also in the past months we could not deliver the trainings the way we were doing before, because obviously the contact is the tool as well, together with physical activity. So we are experiencing some challenges as well, but I think that creatively, we can all also working together, we can all find the ways to do things a bit differently, at least for now.
Thank you so much. I would like to further add on to Ms. Vita's phrase over here, that yes, it is a social distancing right now, but it is not a time for mental distancing, as we are having a webinar over here. So definitely we all can share our views, we can share our ideas, and we can contribute to each other, and we can inspire different lives over here. So there is no mental distancing over here. There is no knowledge distancing over here. So we can definitely work together on this particular platform. Yes, Dr. Avdesh, coming back to you again. So we have a few minutes left. So quickly, you can share your question.
Thank you. So Ms. Vita, I just want to know, what are those challenges you have been faced while executing the Train the Trainer program? As you mentioned that you have executed the program, Train the Trainers. So what are the various challenges you have been encountered during those time?
That's a very good question as well. So first of all, so we brought this group of 20 people from all over the country. They have very different backgrounds, they have different experience, and they have different knowledge in Olympic education. And our main idea was that they have to become a team. If we want to deliver the activities, we want them to be able to work together and to face difficult situations, as I mentioned to you before. Sometimes, I believe that most of you have experienced that in some groups, there are just several people who attend the activity, but they are not there, or they're not that present there. Or there's some challenging people. We always have challenging people in different situations. So you have to actually figure out the ways to work with people. You have to figure out the ways to inspire people. So for us, probably the first challenge would be to actually to make that 20 people group actually a team, to build a team. But I think that we've done a pretty good job on that. And then the other one was to support the educators, because they were educators before. Now they had to become trainers. So we had to give them a set of skills. We had to work together with them and face their fears. We have to work together and figure out the ways how to work with challenging people, or with challenges when they feel that they have in the group settings. Because at the very beginning, me, myself, and the trainers, we were together with all of these educators, and then we kind of let them go and do the trainings. So that was also challenging for us, to let them go and to rely on them to deliver the program that we believe very important, because we always think, I don't know, but like myself, I believe in everything that we do very strongly, and it's amazing to see when you can inspire people to do the same things, or to actually do different things, but also believe in that power of Olympism. So that's actually fascinating. So that's not the challenge, that's an amazing addition probably to the work that we do.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Vita. We have only 1 minute left as per our schedule, and I'm able to pick up one question from the live comments box. The question is how to improve interest in sports through Olympic education. I'll repeat, how to improve interest in sports through Olympic education. This is the question from the live audience. So quickly we can take up in the last 1 minute.
Oh, yeah. So I think that's the thing, that sometimes we see professional sports and we see people just doing that physical activity. Well, Olympism brings us the values and brings us the purpose behind it. I think that we all know that the inspiration knowing the inspiration and the purpose of what we are doing, this brings back the interest in sports. And when we deliver the activities, sometimes we change them up. So when we talk about the Olympic values education, it's not only about competition, because some kids, if we talk about kids, some kids are not competitive, or they do not like it. So that means you have to find different approaches. And I think that the Olympic values education and the Olympic education helps us to find different approaches to actually reach those kids and to inspire them and encourage them to be physically active in different ways, different settings, not only the Olympic sports. Right?
Yeah, thank you so much, Ms. Vita. I hope that the participant must have got the answer of the question. Well, to sum up in the end, to have a concluding notes, I would definitely would like to say that yes, I'm using your two words which you have specifically used in your presentation, that is the competitive skills and the resilience. Yes, it is very important that apart from having competitive skills, which I think millions of people have those competitive skills, but at the same time, the resilience is the most important thing, which is required by all those millions to come back and get that competitive entry in the world. So thank you so much, Ms. Vita, for such an enriching and enlightening session. And I hope that all of them must have got a lot of learnings from you today. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Over to you, Anubhav.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Ms. Vij. This was a very, very, very smoothly conducted session. You know, as you were speaking, as you were moderating this, I was actually taking down notes because this was definitely a lesson for everyone on how to moderate. So 10 on 10 to you for moderating this beautifully. Thank you so much again to Vita ma'am as well for her very engaging thoughts. The fact that she was able to comprehensively explain complex information to everyone without quite being able to use the aid of a PowerPoint presentation is a testament to her presentation skills as well, and how fundamentally she understands all of the topics that she was talking about. And regardless of what the viewer's background is, I think every viewer, regardless of whether they're beginners, intermediates, or experts, they were able to absorb all the information beautifully. And thank you so much for all the questions that came in from Mr. Jagjit Singh, from Vineet Mehra, from Avdesh, as well as some of the questions that we picked up from the audience as well. This was certainly a very, very, very fascinating